Time for another edition of Bases and Balls with our good friend, Guardians broadcaster Jim Rosenhaus, out in the Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland A's area this year because it's a little bit different with them. We'll talk about that in a moment. Jim Rosenhaus with us. And Rosie, I guess, first of all, we've talked about a lot of players on this team, but the guy who seems to come up with a clutch hits that no one really talks about, I don't know if everyone is waiting for someone else to take his spot, but he's kind of taken a hold of a regular spot on this team at second base and more, is Daniel Schneemann. I mean, he continues to come up with big shots, plays good defense. He's really solid, and that shot against San Francisco on Wednesday night was a big one for us. Talk about Schneemann from your point of view.
You know what, Ray? He's carved out a good niche on this team, no question. I think heading into the season, you could have said he might have been that kind of that last guy on the bench who would play a fair amount because he could play just about everywhere, and that infield, outfield, they really liked his versatility, but there wouldn't be a kind of an everyday spot. But he swung the bat well. He plays excellent defense, and they've had a need at second base. And so he's played there a lot. And when they need him in the outfield, he'll go out there on occasion. But he has come up with big hits. He had that huge series about a month and a half ago up in Toronto with the grand slam that helped win a game. And then on Wednesday night, the huge home run against the Giants that proved to be the game winner. He continues to improve offensively. He's kind of remade himself as a hitter where there's some more power in there, and he plays some really good defense. He's a shortstop by trade, which a lot of these guys are coming up, and that allows him to move around because he's got that good shortstop foundation.
Yeah, he's been solid for sure. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the middle infield because Schneemann's there. You've got Arias, who has come up with a number of big hits and pretty solid offensively as well and defensively. And then I'm looking down at Columbus, and Brian Rocchio seems to have straightened a lot of things out. And I know Columbus is Columbus, and they wanted to get him straightened out. He's doing very well at Columbus right now, Rocchio.
He is, and he's gone down there and look, the hope is when someone goes down that they go to work and make some adjustments and can get back here at some point in time because he certainly was a key part of things a year ago. The game's funny though, Ray. Sometimes you lose your spot and someone else comes in and takes over. So he'll have to battle to get playing time if and when there's a need for him to come back. But I think they still have him in the plans at some point in time, and things can change due to injury or poor performance, things like that. But right now, I think they're really happy with Arias and Schneemann, and then Angel Martinez in that mix too on the infield at times. So we'll see. But look, things change over the course of time, and for Rocchio, he's done what he needs to do to put himself back in position, which is really encouraging.
Bases and Balls with Guardians broadcaster Jim Rosenhaus. Speaking of opportunities, I think manager Stephen Vogt, I'm not saying it's a quandary, but it's probably challenging. He's got three guys that can play first base and DH. He's got Manzardo, Carlos Santana, now David Fry. But Fry is mostly a DH, not a first baseman at this point. And then getting all three of those guys at bats right now.
Yeah, it's not easy. And Manzardo had a good game on Wednesday night, which he kind of needed. He's been struggling a little bit at the plate, but a couple of doubles certainly, I'm sure, would help his confidence. And he can look. The Guardians play the platoon game as much as any team in baseball. When it's a lefty on the mound, they load up with righties, and same when there's a right-hander on the mound, they play their left-handed hitters. So I think we'll continue to see that, and everyone will get their at bats. There's so many games, and things have a way of working out, and I think they will in this situation.
Shane Bieber, you and I talked a week ago that he was put on pause, maybe coming back sometime in the next 7 to 10 days. There was really no time frame. Have you heard anything new this week on Shane?
He's off of pause and he's back on play, right? So he's throwing again, which is great. So it was about a week off, and then he met with Dr. Meister again to see next steps, and he was able to throw last weekend, got going again. In terms of throwing, we have not heard when he'll resume pitching in games again. So that's still to be determined. But good news in that break period, the rest period. He's been able to get through some of that soreness and feels good enough to start playing catch again and build up. So it shouldn't take too long because he was in a pretty good spot, and hopefully he can pick things up where he left off.
Well, that's great news. Rosie taking on the A's this weekend, not the Oakland A's, not yet the Vegas Rays, the Athletics. How strange is this situation for them to be playing out west, minor league ballparks, and how they're perceived and the fan base and all that? It's certainly different for that club, that organization, and those players.
It really is, and again, we'll find out when the series starts. But just talking to people in San Francisco earlier this week who used to work at both ballparks, and the teams were never at home at the same time because there's the close proximity to Oakland. Um, but for instance, this week they're both home. And so a lot of the crew people who work at these ballparks, they had to make a choice on which they want to do. And so it's awkward from that standpoint. And, it's odd, Ray. I don't think Sacramento has really embraced them. And part of that is because I think they know at least the plan is that they're kind of just there for a couple of years and then they're moving to Las Vegas. I'm still not convinced that's happening, but um, we'll see. I don't know how it doesn't sound like they're very far along on a ballpark in Las Vegas. So it's just a convoluted situation. We've heard some complaints from visiting teams about the condition of the field, and it's hard for the people in Sacramento because they have a beautiful ballpark for their AAA club, which is the Giants AAA, and because they're playing pretty much every day there this summer between the Athletics and the AAA club, the field's just taking a beating. And we're not even in the heat of the summer yet. They're talking about temperatures maybe getting close to 100 at some point this weekend. So we'll see. But it's a challenge, and it's sad because while it may have not been an ideal ballpark, the Oakland Coliseum, it was theirs. And the Oakland fans love their team, and now it's gone. And Sacramento has not embraced the Athletics the way I think maybe they thought they would.
And Rosie, I can only imagine how it affects the players, right? You know this game, you've been around it for most of your life, that the game is physical and mental. And these guys going to this ballpark, it's beaten up, the crowd doesn't really embrace them. It's got to really affect the way these guys play as well.
They don't have a winning record at home, right? Their record at home is not good. Um, yeah, it's got to be different. And um, I think you work as a player to make it to the major leagues, and one of those things that you do when you get to the major leagues is play in beautiful ballparks. And on this road trip, we've seen that in Seattle and then San Francisco, and now they're back to a ballpark that they would have seen during their minor league careers. And um, look, it's no excuse to whether you play good baseball or not, but it's different, and I'm sure it's a struggle not only for the Athletics but the visitors too. And we'll see how it goes this weekend.
All right. Rosie will be on the call tonight, Saturday night, and of course, Sunday afternoon out west against the A's, finally returning home next week. Rosie, as always, my friend, thanks for making time with us with Bases and Balls. We'll look forward to the broadcast this weekend. And again, much appreciated, my friend.
You got it, Ray.